All right, so the second of the cosine videos is really just about how to find angles using the cosine rule. Now, if you remember on that first video, we showed you two formulas, one that started with a squared and another one that started with cos a. In this case, we're going to use the one that's cos a. So the formula looks like that. It says cos of a is equal to b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc. And you'll sit there and think about it, wow, that does look, remember, a little bit Pythagoras, and that's quite deliberate. Okay, so let's move on and have a look here. We've got a triangle here. Again, call the angle you're looking for A is a good idea, which means its opposite side is also little a. And then the other two sides, it doesn't matter who is B and C. All right, so just put whatever you like. Usually I put those in the wrong order, so we'll find out in a second. All right, so did I? No, I put it in the same order. So here I've filled out the formula. So I've got cosine of A, don't know what that is. I've got B squared, so 6 squared, plus C squared, which is 4.9 squared, whoopsie, minus the A squared, which is 3.2 squared. So the two huggy sides, as I call them, because they're hugging that angle, minus the opposite one, all over 2 times 6 times 4.9. And if you have a look, these two numbers here mimic the first two on top here. Now, this is a real bugger to put in your calculator. So I'm going to suggest you do it in two pieces. Work out the bottom first, and then work out the top, or vice versa, and then divide them, because otherwise you can end up in a huge pickle. The other way to do it is to make sure you bracket. So bracket the top line, divide it by, and bracket the bottom line, and that will work as well. But you need to be very careful because BEDMAS is going to let you down here loading this into the calculator. All right, so let's just do this. So I often do the top, bottom line first. So 2 times 6 times 4.9, mainly because it's usually a pretty number. So cos of A here equals, it's actually 58.8. So you tend to find there's nothing nasty on the bottom line, and 6 squared plus 4.9 squared minus 3.2 squared, and this is actually 49.77. Now, if you're wondering why I do the bottom line first, it's because I now have the top line, which is often a bit ickier because there's more stuff, actually preloaded into my calculator. So now I can go divided by 58.8 equals, and what I find out that cos of A is equal to 0.8464 blah 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 blah. Okay, that is not the final answer. To get the final answer, I need to go shift cos and get it out of that angle ratio, and I'm going to find that that is, in fact, angle A is 32.1, sorry, 2 degrees to 1 dp. All right, angle 1 dp. Sorry about that. It's actually 32.174, and I just did a misread. Okay, now that looks to be correct, and I know it looks to be correct because this angle has got to be about sort of less than 90, because otherwise it's just the whole triangle is going to fall apart. This is also the smaller side. The 3.2 centimeters is the shorter side, and we know that shorter sides go with smaller angles. So that looks about correct. All right. Okay, so let's have a look at this triangle here. I'm going to label this puppy, but the first thing I do before that is I'm going to actually put the formula down because I know that's really important. So here we go. Cosine of A equals B squared plus C squared minus A squared. Now, I know you don't need to know this off by heart, but remember what I said, it's not your formula, so you should put it down. And second point is that if you write it down, it makes it much harder for you to stuff it up putting the numbers in. All right, let's have a wee change of color here. So the angle A is the one that's missing, so I'm going to label that. So that means its opposite side is A, and the other two guys here just hang out being B and C. All right, so let's load her up. Cosine A, all right, B squared is 10 squared, C squared is 9 squared minus that A, which is 12 squared, over 2 times 10 times 9. Now you're having a look, if you had a look at how I wrote that, I didn't have to look at the triangle because these two numbers here are always going to match the first two. So once I've got them down, I don't need to look again. Okay, again, a little bit tricky. This time I'm going to run it right the way through my calculator. When I do that, I'm going to put, just to show you, I'm going to load a bracket. I'm going to do a second bracket at the end. I'm going to press then divide by, and then I'm going to bracket this and then press execute. Again, you can do the bottom and the top separately. That's cool. It's a very good idea to do that. In this case, I'm actually going to try and show you how you do it all at once. So here we go. Big deep breath bracket. Here we go. 10 squared plus 9 squared minus 12 squared, close bracket, divided by open bracket. 2 times 10 times 9, close bracket. Oh, just did an error. I didn't write 10, I wrote 1. 10 times 9, close bracket. Now, if you have a look, and again, this is a Casio calculator, but if you have a look at my line of working, it's quite long. There are 2 sets of brackets and there's a divide by sign. It's very important that you do that if you're going to load it in as one whole, because that minus and the plus are going to screw things up a little for you. Okay, press execute, and I get that cosine, oh, I better get a pen you can actually read. Cosine of A, liking that color, is equal to 0.2055 blah, 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 blah. It is absolutely fine as long as you sort of do 4SF to do the dots, all right? Just don't clear it off your calculator, because the calculator is actually reading a lot more decimal places than you. To get out of that, I'm going to go shift, I'm going to go cos, I'm going to put the answer back in because I can preload that with a button, press equals, and it says that A is 78.1 degrees.